Have you ever wondered what it takes to send an edible item across state and county lines? Well, my guest today, Frank Manteau, has done just that with his Crayons Ready-to-Eat. Even through the trials and tribulations, he is still so focused on getting this product out, and I hope he does it soon because I'm anxious to try it. So on to the interview. Hello again to everyone listening, and a special hello to my sisters in service. Welcome to episode 40. I am, of course, your host, Kat Corchado, and our guest today is Frank Manteau. And I've met him on Clubhouse. Of course, that's where I meet a lot of my guests. But Frank has a product that is amazing, and we're going to get a chance to talk about that. But first, let's meet Frank. So, Frank, welcome to Sisters in Service.
Thank you, Kat. Glad to be here.
So, you decided to go into the Marine Corps, correct?
Yes. I come from a small town in the backwoods of Ohio, on the eastern side called Flushing, Ohio. I was influenced by many, not many outside people, people within my home. I don't remember my childhood inside the home, but I can tell you everybody that mentored me and it helped me, out and about to be able to get involved in different things and help me get into the workforce and stuff. And it was a gentleman by the name of Mark Kenny, also called him Hooter. That was really a major impact in my life. And he was the one that helped me make the decision to pursue my dream, because when I was always younger and stuff like that, I wanted to join the Marine Corps. And he took me to the Marine Corps recruiting office, and literally because of him, he helped change my stars. He got me away from, and he didn't know it until recently, that he changed my stars, and he was able to help me set a different path and not become the part of what my family was. My family isn't the greatest people in the world, and I have no contact with them. But he took me and got me to the Marine Corps recruiting office, and literally I graduated high school June 1st of 1995. June 5th, I was at MEPS. June 6th, I was on a plane to South Carolina, and June 7th, I landed on the Yellow Footprints in Parris Island, South Carolina. And I owe it all to Hooter. And just recently, back in May, I was able to go back to Ohio and see him and visit with my daughter back there. But about a month ago, he passed away.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry.
I was able to see him before he passed, which was a really good thing. And I was able to let him know what he had, the impact and everything he had in my life. So it was a good thing to see him before he passed.
And that was good for both of you. Because sometimes you don't know the impact you have on people's lives until, you don't see them for a while. And then all of a sudden you see them and they're like, you have no idea how much you helped me. And you're like, wait, what did I do? He was,
Yep.
doing something that he thought, he was doing it from his heart. And when you do something from your heart, you don't expect anything in return. You're just trying to help people. So let me ask you this. What was it about the Marine Corps that just attracted you to it?
A part of it had to do with, some of my family members did join in and they weren't successful in it, but it was because of their own fault. It was the way the Marine Corps sees and their whole values, and the fact that it's the only branch that once you earn that Eagle, Globe, and Anchor and you are called Marine, you're Marine till the day that you die. Once a Marine, always a Marine. And back then I was younger, a lot of the commercials were, honor, courage, commitment, and stuff of that. And it was something that I really needed to be a part of something, greater than myself.
Right.
And the Marine Corps has that.
Yeah, you ever hear people who say, you're ex-Air Force or you're ex-Marine. You're never ex anything. You're either a veteran or you're a Marine. Right?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Now, you did quite a few jobs, and one of them that leapt out to me was a private investigator. Is that something you did after you left the military?
So, yeah, after I had got out of the Marine Corps, and the one thing is in the military is you have different jobs, you have different things in the house. Well, for the Marine Corps, I was in the Marine Corps infantry. And a lot of times people that exit from the Marine Corps on their jobs, especially in the infantry, they either go law enforcement, private security, or, other, avenues. And I was like, all right, let me see what this is about. And I didn't want to be a cop. I had no desire to be a cop whatsoever. But I dipped my feet into the private security sector and was able to get involved into armed and unarmed as well as private investigative work. And, jumping from the military into the civilian life as a private investigator, you find out what's some stuff that people do to scam, their spouses, their jobs, workman comps, and different things and everything else. And it was just unbelievable the way they, how people think. And it makes you grateful that, you try to, for me, myself, that I'm trying to do better and do right by people. And it's
Right.
just the
You're not
deviance
just
of
trying to
how
take
people-
stuff away from someone else or lie
Yeah.
and cheat your way forward, to get ahead. Tell me a little bit about getting out of the Marine Corps. Did you go through any transition issues or was it easier for you? Uh-oh.
So I got out in December of 2002. So when I was in transitioning, we were at war. I literally, for me, I wanted to stay in. I wanted to go over and defend this country and save lives, because earlier on in my career, I had spent a few months over in Kuwait back in 1998. I'm one of those people that if you hear stories, occasionally through different, avenues and, TV and stuff, that I have no foreign sea service on my DD-214, but I have what's called a JMUC, which is a Joint Meritorious Unit Citation Award. And the only way you get that is if you've worked with foreign entities on foreign soil. So I was over there in 98. We were sending inspectors over in to inspect Saddam Hussein's cache. And I was a part of that detail that was involved in the inspectors getting him over there. So I dealt with the country, I dealt with the people, and I knew what it was like. And I'm like, I wanted to go. We were training and literally 7-mile hump, easy 7 miles. And I never complained. I never went to medical, and my body took a beating and my body gave out. And I literally collapsed. My back gave out. I found out had 2 pinched nerves, or had a pinched nerve, both hip displacement, a radial tear, and 2 discs messed up. And I was literally paralyzed from waist down for 8.5 hours. And my transition was not by choice, but by request to get out, because I was basically a liability, and I wanted to be there and I wanted to go, and I fought and argued it and made a few, bad remarks and choices to the higher ups. And it was either get out and take an early out and take an honorable discharge, or it was go through the proper channels and fight the system and make it harder on myself. So when I transitioned, TAPS class wasn't that great. It was check off the box and turn your stuff in and out you go. And to this day, and that was in 2002, and in 2021, there was a lot of, pieces of me that are still with the military that it's hard to transition. When you do it for 7.5 years, it's a major impact that, it's a part of your life. It's a part of who you are. And to reacclimate back into civilian life, and especially with everything that was going on at that time, it was difficult. I jumped from job to job, and, I went through a divorce. I got full custody of my kids. So now I'm trying to figure out how I'm paying the bills, trying to find a job, because I didn't have the steady paycheck, the everything. Didn't have had to make sure I maintained a roof over mine and my kid's head. Figuring out the medical insurance and how I'm going to pay for this and everything else. It was rough. It was not easy, and it a lot of the resources that are out there today were not there then.
Yeah, I
You
agree
had
with
to
that.
you had to dig, and nobody gave you the information. The VA didn't have the information. The county service offices didn't have the information, and you had to dig and shuffle. And I literally, for when I got out, I started the VA process. I was given 10%, and
Even with all the injuries that you just talked about,
I was only given 10%
that's
when I got out.
crazy.
And because of the lack of the information and the struggle, it took me about another 10, 15 years to file again to get an upgrade. And then I got upgraded to 30%. And then it took me another couple years to refile again to get me up to, the 50. And then recently I upgraded, I got up to 70. And it's just like, I just, it was hard. And like I said, acclimating into the civilian world, as a military member, and you go into civilians, jobs and stuff, you can't expect somebody to do the job you want them to do. You can't be harsh. You can't be direct with people. And it's, and I've seen it with a lot of other people. We bounce job to job. And if we don't find one that aligns with what we've learned in the military, we end up bouncing job to job.
Or start our own
Yeah. Or
business.
start our own businesses.
And I don't think it's a hard sell to expect someone to do their job, because that's what was expected of us in the military. So when you go to an organization after you've been in the military, you expect people to have the same work ethic that you have. And that is so not true. Like they will have all these degrees, they're getting paid all this money, and they don't pull their weight. And I still to this day don't understand why that is. But I'm so glad that you are doing better. And I wanted to talk a little bit about your Crayons Ready-to-Eat. Now, I want you to talk about that for a second, but what I want to know specifically is, do you remember exactly where you were and what you were doing when this idea came to you?
So it was the end of May of 2017, when I started in that April of 2017, I started my own woodworking business. I got tired of corporate America. It bounces back to you talking about starting our own businesses. I got tired of working in corporate America, tired of being treated like a number. And I grew up in the backwoods of Ohio. Like I said, I grew up on the farms, and woodworking was a part of that. It was building your own things, making things you needed around the farm. And I got in a wood shop in high school. And so I always had a passion for wood. Even when I was in the Marine Corps, whenever I was stationed out in Kuwait, we needed places to sit. I turned pallets into benches. I was able to, do a lot of different things, and I got involved with my kids, with my son with scouting. So woodworking was always a part of my life, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. So I decided, you know what? I quit the job, cashed out my 401k, spent $3,000 on social media, on Facebook and Craigslist and everything else, and bought some woodworking tools. And I started Kamikaze Wood Werks, which I still do have on the side and everything. And it was the end of May of 2017 that I was involved with my kids in their programs, and I would build props and help them do things for my son for his band competition, my daughter in choir. And I got asked to build a giant fake picture frame for a color guard show. And it needed to be a frame that they can jump in and out of. So instead of making this big elaborate ordeal, I decided to, knowing from my experience in high school when I was in art class, which I turned down a 4-year ride scholarship to Pittsburgh Art Institute to continue to join the Marine Corps.
Wow.
Now I could barely draw a straight line unless I use a ruler. But
I digress.
Yes, exactly. They wanted it in specific colors. Now, when you're painting on paper that's glued to wood, if you use paint, it's going to, tear, rip. It's not going to work. It's look the greatest. Markers, they bleed. They don't blend in properly whenever they run out. So I knew, I was like, all right, I'm going to use crayons. Crayons are a consistent color as long as they use the same brand, go through it. So I ended up buying like freaking 4 or 5 boxes of crayons and started coloring this in. And at this time, I really wasn't heavy on social media. I was only on there because, keeping track of my kids and still trying to figure out that whole ordeal, what it was. And I saw I was involved in a couple veteran groups, and I saw these memes that were popped up that Marines were being called Crayon Eaters. And I'm like, this was new to me. I had no clue. And I was like, all right, whatever, no big deal, shrugged it off. So when I started using these crayons, I literally put one crayon in my mouth and switched colors and started changing, coloring. And I literally started nulling on this thing. And then it hit me and it intrigued me. Is there something to this Crayon Eater nonsense? So I started diving in and looking and just getting a barrel of laughs, just looking at the memes and actually seeing Marines on video on social media eating real crayons on social media as a video or at a Marine Corps ball. And I'm like, okay, there's got to be something.
There's got to be something to this.
And so I spent months looking and diving and digging into the interweb and didn't find anything out there that actually was truly an edible crayon. Now, yes, they say crayons are edible, but when you eat so much wax, that's not good for the body. Okay.
Yeah, and, it could be a detriment, let's just say.
Exactly. So when I worked at O'Reilly Auto Parts out here in California, I ended up found out when I took over as a store manager and the outgoing store manager was leaving, found out that there was a team member there that went to school to be a pastry chef. She brought in these amazing homemade peanut butter truffles that were better than any Reese cup I'd ever tried. And that was in the mental Rolodex. So when this idea hit and I figured I saw colored chocolate, but I was like, okay, does it right? No. What do we got to do? So I reached out to her. I reached out to Cassandra and I'm like, in all your classes and everything else, have you ever made chocolate right? She was like, no. I'm like, okay, here's the idea. Here's the concept. Do you think you can make it happen? And she was like, I would try. Now, I knew she would. I knew she would go after it because I seen her work. She had phenomenal work ethic. And she's a daughter of an Army veteran who was airborne.
There you go.
So I'm like, all right, I trusted her. So that was the end of August of 2017. And then on September 12th of 2017, she is sending me a video of her actually making chocolate right.
Wow.
And we spent end of 2017, 2018, figuring out, how to do this, how to make it better. And for me, at this time, my kids were older. They were in their teens, higher teens and everything else. And I want to make sure that when this gets in the hands of parents, that they can decipher, and especially for the military, since, we as Marines are now called Crayon Eaters, we can't decipher things here. I wanted the higher ranking officials to tell the lower ranking officials, and the parents can decipher to the kids, a specific crayon that we make is edible and safe to eat, and traditional crayons that are round or similar in that design are not safe to eat. So we changed our design completely. And this time I jumped into the interweb and got more involved in the veteran community. And I got in touch with a gentleman by the name of Matt Jenkins, who owns Praetorian Ventures. On one of the shows that we were messing around with and just communicating, one guy actually ate an MRE. So couple weeks later, I was talking on the phone with a gentleman by the name of John. I'm still working on trying to figure out the name of this thing. I wasn't sure what I was going to name it, had no clue. And he was like, dude, why don't you just call them Crayons Ready-to-Eat?
There you go.
And I'm like, dude, you're freaking genius. I'm like, freaking outstanding. I'm like, when this takes off, you're going to be taken care of. And so hence they got named Crayons Ready-to-Eat. And we've modeled our packaging after the MREs, Meals Ready to Eat. They look like a pouch, similar to, not like, because we had to make sure we weren't copyright infringing and everything else. changed the design a little bit, and made the packaging look like an MRE from my era. And hence we came out with Crayons Ready to Eat.
I think it's really interesting because, you know, you give the crayons to kids and especially little kids. What do? Anything they put in their hand, they want to put in their mouth. Yep, exactly. So that's like genius. And I remember when I first met you and you had the idea and you were trying to get distribution or you're trying to get clearance, you know, because anytime you send food across the country, you have to get, you know, certain, I don't know what, I'm not in that realm, so I don't know. But are people able to order your Crayons Ready to Eat now?
So right now, no. We are still in that struggling process.
Oh my goodness.
So for us, the fact that we went with a totally different style and design and everything else, we had gotten molds that were silicone. We went through the regulations to get in a cottage food permit, which allows us to make it inside my home. There you have not as many requirements and limitations and stuff like that, but you're only allowed to sell direct to customer at events, pick up at your home, pop-up events, farmers markets, things of that nature, networking events and things of that. So silicone works to a degree, and it worked for what we were needing to locally. Now, in order to large mass scale and meet the FDA requirements, meet the federal regulations needed to ship a product, it has to be in a FDA approved facility, health permits, inspect, and everything else. The chocolate equipment that is producing these put out a much higher temperature, tempering, and then it's a whole, you know, I'm learned all this because I knew nothing about chocolate when I started this. Cassandra is the brains. So we had to get custom molds made. Due to COVID and everything else,
right?
And a lot of companies had shut down. Some things had occurred, and we were locked. We found a packaging company. We got FDA approved packaging. We found a confectionery who's our main manufacturer. Our molds is what's holding us up right now.
Oh goodness.
We were supposed to be going live on pre-orders the beginning in the middle of this month. Due to the COVID and everything else and some other, you know, things that had happened, our molds are not finished yet. I'm hoping to get word, you know, within the next week or so, and to be able to get us a timeline when the molds are going to be done. They may be done within 4 weeks. They may be done in 8 weeks.
It would be great to have them as Christmas presents, you know, to be
I
sent
was
them
hoping
out. That would have been awesome.
It would have been better if I would have had them before the Marine Corps birthday. Anybody can be able to pre-order by going to our crowdfunding. And if they go to our website or any of our social medias, our website is www.crayonsreadytoeat.com. They can find us on any social media platform at Crayons Ready to Eat, except for Twitter. We are crayons_R_E, or just do a Google search, Crayons Ready to Eat, and you will find us. And on our website and on our social medias, we have a link at the top of the website and the top of our social medias that will take you directly to our crowdfunding. You pick a tier, and the tiers come with extra different perks and things of that nature. And you are guaranteed 100% going to get your crayons once we are able to ship. Right now, we are a little bit over we're almost at $14,000 raised on our crowdfunding. I've also gained a grant for $10,000 from Warrior Rising, which has helped us put into this.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, it's been a long ride. It's been an amazing 4-year ride at this. 3 years officially, you know, brought to market. And it's just been a phenomenal, you know, ordeal that we've gone through this. And it's been, I will not stop until we are at the market. It was only fitting that a Marine brought the joke to reality.
Right.
And an old school Marine at that, because I wasn't called one. And we made sure that we kept the jokes going. Since we were dubbed Crayon Eaters by other branches, we made sure that we kept the nicknames going. Now, I couldn't call it Crayon Eater Red because we're already got the meal as the 0311 Crayon Eater. I had to pay homage to the Marines, and we've named red Jarhead Red. We have Squid Blue for the Navy. We have Dogface Green for the Army. We have Flyboy Yellow for the Air Force. And we have Puddle Pirate Orange for the Coast Guard. Since the Space Force has been dubbed, prior to us launching to be able to ship, we didn't have white. Well, Space Force is around, and we are officially nicknaming the Space Force by introducing Space Cadet White.
Love it. So how many do you get in a packet? Like if I ordered a packet of your Crayons Ready to Eat, how many do you get? Like one of each?
You get 6 colors. You get one of each in each pouch.
Nice. I love that. So if someone is close by you, would they be able to purchase the crayons, or is it just the molds or the issue and you can't sell any right now?
They're gradually rolling out cottage food permits and everything else. Our cottage food permit lapsed due to the COVID last year, and we are not able to produce them within our home here in San Diego. Or my home within San Diego, because we don't have the current permitting to do so.
So for anyone out there listening, let's push Frank and his Crayons Ready to Eat over the top so that when he is ready, we can all enjoy. Because I'm really, really curious. I want some because I love sweets anyway. So Frank, thank you so much for being on Sisters in Service. And if there's any way that we can help get the word out, I would love to do that for you.
On our website, they don't have, if they can't donate to the crowdfunding, we understand sharing is caring and sharing is free. But we also have other things on our website that they can do to support us. We have certified Crayon Eater decals. So if you have that Crayon Eater in your life, or you are one yourself, we have decals that you can slap on your vehicle. We also have our official mascot, which is Lance Corporal Crunch. We have stickers available on our website. Now, Lance Corporal Crunch was derived from myself personally. I made sure it was a Lance Corporal because in true Marine Corps fashion, you're not a real Marine unless you've been NJP'd and busted down and held a rank twice. And I've held Lance Corporal twice.
I did not know that piece of information.
Yes, I've held Lance Corporal twice, as well as I was in the infantry, and then in the tanks, the tankers of a lot of both the Army and the Marine Corps, they call them crunchies. So in the aspect, and you can do a Google search to find out why tankers are called crunchies. I'll leave that for everybody else to look into. And I had reached out to a Ben Cantwell. He's an amazing artist. And because of my art background, I wanted somebody that was going to physically draw, not a digital, not anything. I wanted an actual drawing that we could then turn into digital effects. And hence Lance Corporal Crunch was born. He's our official mascot. We've got stickers available for him. And we also have Crayon Eater t-shirts that has Lance Corporal Crunch on them on our website available. We also have our e-gift coins, not gift cards, e-gift coins that you can purchase on our website and give a gift to somebody to be able to purchase once we are able to pre-order and get out there to everything. So there's many ways that people can support us and help us out, but ultimately share us, get the word out there. Anything is working on. And we also have an artist submission form on our website. So if there's a active duty veteran, milspouse, dependent that is an artist, and we don't care what kind of artist you are, if you can draw or you can create an image, whether it's digitally or hand drawn, but you can submit to be an artist in our coloring book. We're going to produce a Crayons Ready-to-Eat coloring book. And
That's awesome.
This gives the artist an opportunity to be published.
Right.
The first time you work with us, it will be on a non-paid ordeal, but in future coloring books, you will be getting a revenue off of coloring books whenever you are commissioned to be able to do so. But this one is ultimately, yes, to help promote our business, but most importantly, we want to get these artists published because it is hard for artists in the industry to be able to get published. And if they can have us as that portfolio, that is what we would love to do, so they can be able to get their name out there and get them published.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it here, guys. I won't say heard it here first, but you did hear it here. If there's any artists out there and want to be involved, I will make sure that I put that out there and you know where to go for that. But thank you so much, Frank, for being on Sisters in Service and getting that information out there. I love the concept of what you're doing. It's so unique that it's just very cool because it's different. And for everyone else, if you have any questions, you know exactly where to go, and I will put that in the show notes also. But until then, please stay safe, take care of each other, and until next time.